Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Niche Necessity. My name is Taylor Zork. I'm your host, and today we have two very special guests. We have Rustin Cavel and Daniel Durning. They're both co-founders of Coast, which is a beneficiary service that uses smart contracts to help you offload your crypto assets in the event that you have any, if you die or if you have any events that your assets need to get passed on to your loved ones. So I'll let them describe their product a little bit better. But let's first start off with Rustin. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what led you to co-found Coast?
Sure, absolutely. And thanks for having us on, by the way. Pleasure to be here. So I studied finance in college and was extremely passionate, primarily within the personal finance sector. After college, I got a job at a financial advisory firm. I ended up leaving there fairly quickly to pursue like sales and biz dev, I guess outside of the banking industry, and then pivoted to startups about 5 years ago. That's where Dan and I met. And then since then, kind of went down this rabbit hole of digital assets, got super interested in NFTs and DeFi. And, that's, I guess, my core desire to help people with their finances has just remained over the years. And I just never found like the right product, the right time to really pursue that. And now just seems like the right product, the right time. I think that DeFi is just going to accrue an immense amount of additional value to consumers, and I want to be a part of that. So that's kind of the, I guess, backstory of what led to founding Coast.
Awesome. And Dan, how about you?
Yeah, thanks again for having us on. My name is Dan Durning. I'm originally from the East Coast. Went to grad school in Chicago, been based out there for the last 9 years. Started my career in risk management at law firms. Quickly learned I don't want to be a lawyer and I don't want to work at law firms. So I jumped into startups again in 2018 with Rustin. We were at a Y Combinator backed startup. Got to know each other. First started talking about building things together, but really felt like we needed to learn how to run startups. So after leaving that startup, we both went to separate startups. He went to a Web3 startup. I went to a startup based in Chicago. Learned a lot about product management along with my risk background, and really focused on payments and looking at the future of finance and just transactions in general. And so when Rustin approached me with this idea, basically talking about how there's a need in the market right now for beneficiary services for digital assets or digital wallets in general, it really was something that hit home to me as someone who owns digital assets myself. How can I make sure my family is going to receive them in the event that I'm no longer here? And how can we do this for everyone? So that's what led us to starting Coast. And along the way, we've just been learning and growing and building a product.
Very cool. So yeah, that's a great segue into my next question, which is, how would you explain Coast services to someone who is new to the concept of digital assets?
Yeah, really great question. And I think this is so foundational to the space and the future of digital assets in general. But in traditional finance, all of our bank accounts, our stock accounts, 401ks, they all have beneficiaries listed on those accounts. So most providers of those services will ask you to actually name a beneficiary in the event that you were no longer here or able to, take care of those funds. How can we give them to someone that you trust and care about? That's standard in traditional finance because of the centralization of finance as it exists today. In decentralized finance, that obviously doesn't exist in the same way. There is no institution that holds those assets for you. You have a wallet and you're responsible as the end user to be in custody of those assets and then to distribute them to someone else if and when that came. I think the biggest issue is that is what Coast is solving. But the biggest issue really is that right now, Web3 and DeFi and crypto in general is really niche still. Not a lot of folks understand how to use it. And folks who do understand how to use it can easily send their assets to other folks who know how to use Web3. What we think is a huge barrier to adoption of Web3 and just crypto in general is building for consumers that aren't in crypto yet or don't understand Web3 yet. How can we make an experience that is as familiar as a Web2 experience using their phone number and email address to be able to receive those funds, get pulled into someone's wallet and be named as a beneficiary how do we make that easier is really what we're solving for.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think that, yeah, finding ways to onboard no coiners, I think, is the key to these mass adoption trends as well. And I think ultimately it's a really great problem that you guys are solving. And yeah, it's important to address, because if you can't, we all have tried to convince our family members, or at least have a conversation with our family members, and some of them are receptive, and then others are, like, oh, I don't know what that crypto bullshit is or whatever. And it becomes a very different story when they have an inheritance, right? And we want them to be able to access that in the most easy way possible. And I think that's a really great, product that you guys are building there. So great. So I have a question for Rustin now. Can you walk us through the process of how Coast works, from onboarding to actual asset protection?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. We are still in, I guess, prototype phase. We haven't launched yet. We are working on security audits and the finalization of the smart contracts prior to going live. That said, the application is 80% complete. The way that it works is you just walk through a simple onboarding process. You'll obviously select the term that you want to use for your beneficiary. So the way, I guess, high level, real quick, the way that the system works is we can detect whether there's been activity on a person's wallet, outbound activity. And so if there's no outbound activity for a specified amount of time, then the assets are claimable by their beneficiary. And we think that this is the most elegant solution that technologically we can pursue at the moment, simply because we don't want to hold custody of someone's funds. We want to stay as far away from that as possible. And so it's like, how do you build a mechanism in order to be able to transfer those assets while still maintaining sovereignty and full control to the person who owns them? And so we're utilizing smart contracts in order to do so. And so once you sign up for Coast, you can select your term, you can select which assets you want to protect. You obviously select your beneficiary. They'll be linked to your accounts. And then if the term ends or expires and there's been no activity, there's like a holding period. And then if there's, again, no more activity, or if you don't come and claim them, then your beneficiary is able to claim them as well.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think I've heard the term like dead man switch. So you basically have to interact with the smart contract in order to confirm, like, yes, I'm still here. Yes, I still own and have access to this wallet, and I'm confirming that I hold the keys to this wallet, and I'm still here. Is that essentially
Exactly.
like the more technical way, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very cool. So how does Coast ensure the security of the digital assets that it protects? Like, I mean, I know a lot of time, obviously there's custody still held by the people, but is that, I guess, yeah, how is the security ensured for the end user?
Yeah, this is something that we're taking extremely carefully. This is like one of those big, hairy scenarios where we don't want to cut any corners. And so the short answer is security audits, smart contract audits. So we're speaking with two of the industry leading firms for security audits at the moment, to make sure that the smart contracts are audited by third parties and we have as many eyeballs taking a look at it as we can. So we have some other things that we're planning to pursue from like a security standpoint from the application side, but the smart contract is the main priority.
So for someone that's investing, the main risk that they're looking at is smart they risk, because ultimately they still have control of their funds. The only thing would be the smart contract risk, which you guys are mitigating by getting these rigorous audits from reputable companies.
Yep, essentially, yes.
Cool. Okay. I noticed that that beneficiaries don't need to have a wallet set up. So how does this work, and how would they access the funds?
Yeah, I think Dan covered this a little bit, but this was like a core feature for us that needed to exist within the product. Because if my beneficiary, let's say my family, is already crypto native, do they really need my product? I could just communicate where they can find my private keys and they can recover on their own if they already have that knowledge and have overcome that knowledge gap. But it's like, how do you transfer to someone who doesn't understand that? If they look at 12 or 24 words on a piece of paper, they're like, what the hell is this? Why is this? Like, how is this holding monetary value. It becomes really complex really quickly, on top of, a tragic situation of someone grieving your death. And so we're very, very keen to make that as simple as possible. So luckily, there are some fantastic tools that have recently been developed within Web3 infrastructure that allow us to essentially use someone's username, or like not a username, a email address, or a phone number, or even like OAuth using Google, to be able to essentially create a wallet that is seed phraseless, that would allow the beneficiary to at least come and claim the assets on Coast. So yeah, that's kind of how we're approaching it. But
Cool. So then they would take steps on their own to either, offload those or secure them better, but that would be the way for them to transfer it in a easy way. Do you guys have a way for someone to like transfer it direct? I'm assuming transfer it directly to an existing wallet already as well.
that's right. Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
we do want that mechanism to be available as well. We've been approached by either other professionals in the space, or even businesses who would like to utilize something like this, either in a multi-sig strategy or something like that, but some kind of mechanism to be able to transfer. And so yes, we do have that capability where someone can designate another Web3 wallet as the beneficiary as well.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool, because I mean, I was thinking of it a little bit in the context of a corporate environment as well, because obviously, the initial thought is, okay, a person with their own investments and things like that. But also, you brought up a good point with multi-sigs. A lot of organizations that are crypto native, they use multi-sig wallets where they have maybe 2 out of 3 signers required on certain transactions. And, heaven forbid that 2 of those people die in a short time frame. How do you transfer those assets, or the keys to the ability to sign those transactions in a way that's not going to make those assets completely unavailable? So that's
That's
cool.
right.
Yeah,
And that
okay.
has happened. I've seen horror stories of someone's developer who literally had, the wallet that controlled the smart contract for projects end up dying in a car accident or however, and all of those funds for the project are lost now.
Yeah.
And so yes, like I do think that there's a major role that we can play in ensuring that assets aren't lost, even from a corporate standpoint.
Well, and then you don't have the excuse as like the founder of, who knows what happened to the founder of Quadriga X, but
Yes.
if you die accidentally, like too, there's at least some ability for those funds to get sent somewhere else, so that you can't just say, oh, I died, I died, and maybe not really die, or maybe you did actually die. But
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, very cool. And then my next question is for Dan. So what are some of the updates or features that users can look forward to in the near future? Like, what are some additional benefits that you guys might be rolling out, once you get the smart contract audits back?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so really starting only with beneficiary service. This is just the beginning of what we see as an app that is the kind of everything at once financial app. So we have named our company Coast on this idea that there is traditional finance and then there's decentralized finance, and in between them, we are the coast between them. So the land is, say, traditional finance, DeFi is the ocean. We're that beach head where we're really trying to build these innovative features that can help folks regardless of where they are in their financial journey. So some of the tools that we're already building right now that should come very quickly after we launch will be a portfolio aggregator that'll allow you to connect all of your traditional finance, decentralized finance accounts in one place. Will give you a dashboard view of all your finances, all your accounts, even notice patterns or spending habits that you're experiencing, can help you with budgeting. Eventually, we're getting to a point of an AI advisor that can analyze your portfolio, help you optimize your portfolio. And then say you want more services beyond that, then what we can provide, we actually have a fully integrated affiliate system. So trying to make sure that if someone needs an actual professional, they want to talk to a lawyer, a tax accountant, a financial advisor, they can easily do that from the app as well. And we're this trusted ecosystem of not only the tools to help you, but also the professionals outside of our app that can really get you to where you want to go. But I think starting with beneficiary services is the key. I don't think this has been mentioned yet, but we've already lost $180 billion worth of crypto assets due to death. And there's already over 200 billion at risk right now. And crypto is really just in its infancy stages. So if we can extrapolate that growth rate out to 10, 15 years in the future, beneficiary services are going to be looked at as one of those foundational pieces that got us there. And we're hoping that these additional tools will help people get even more value from our app.
Yeah, that's amazing. I hadn't even thought of that. If you talk about onboarding no coiners that are obviously dealing with some a horrific incident already, and now they've got to go find a crypto tax accountant or a lawyer, crypto tax lawyer or whatever, which
Totally.
is hard enough to find even if you're Web3 native. And now you've got to do that having no knowledge of the space at all. So to have a resource library or to have that built into the app as well is really helpful for those people that are going to be in these challenging instances.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, sorry, Russ.
I was just going to say, we're very grateful that people like you exist to help with those adjacent services.
Yeah, I think that it's important. I mean, there's a big lack of accounting and tax professionals in this space, simply because I think that the profession as a whole errs on the conservative side. And so I think that that's part of the reason why we don't see as many tax and accounting professionals in the space quite yet. But yeah, we hope to change that. So yeah, it's really good to see you guys moving the space forward as well with all this stuff. So I have one final question for you guys. How can interested listeners sign up for early access to get Coast services?
Yeah, you can just visit our website, getcoast.io, and we have a email submission form there where you can sign up, get more information, be informed as we launch. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter. You can find myself on Twitter or connect with us on LinkedIn. If you're interested in what we're doing and want to just have a conversation, we're open to that as well. We would love to be able to get feedback from people who are interested in either the product or the solution, or have questions about how we're approaching it. We would love all the feedback that we can get from that perspective. So yeah, feel free to connect with us. We're pretty much on every platform, and send a smoke signal if you need to.
Sounds great. Well, I know that once you guys have a working product, I'm going to be interested in using your guys' services, because no one in my family, I do taxes and I do all the investing on behalf of all of my family members, and none of them would know how to recover anything if I were to pass. So definitely going to be in need of your services myself. So thank you guys so much for joining the podcast today, and hope to see more of you guys in the near future.
Thank you, Taylor. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
You too.